Okay, May 23rd, 2016. Aren't these beautiful? They're just gorgeous. Yeah, I've got some more over there and some more over there. It's blooming away. Okay, people, you should be able to see me here. It is, I think, May 23rd, 2017. Here is what CIBC Bank is calling frivolous. Because tomorrow, I think maybe it's the 24th, I'm not sure. 24th or 23rd. Anyway, on the 25th, the bank is putting in an application to the court to dismiss my lawsuit against them for this demise that I'm finding myself in. Because here's the thing, people. I moved into this house. I rented it in 2009 at the end of November. This place sat empty for 20 days before I moved the family in. The family. That was the kids, right? It was Marcane, Shimei, Tisha. Sierra wasn't moving in at that time. She ended up moving in later. And then John, Uncle John, and Auntie Joan. Brooks went somewhere else. And I think Sierra went somewhere else with Austin. But it wasn't long before Sierra moved in because she became pregnant. So halfway into the living here, within 5 or 6 months or whatever, she ended up moving in. And then Austin ended up moving in. And I had 9 people in this house. And I was in it for the long haul because when we met the landlords, they said, take it now or we can't guarantee that it won't be here when you come back. And I had already looked at 14, 15 houses, right? Because like I said, there's only certain kind of houses that I can rent for Uncle John in terms of the proper railings and the proper steps with the proper landings and that type of thing in terms of also inside and outside. It couldn't be just outside. It had to be both. It had to be inside and outside. If he couldn't navigate the stairs with proper railings and proper landings, we couldn't rent the house. That was one of the major factors. And then, of course, I had to look for location, da-dee-da-da-da. So we ended up finding this place, and so the landlords, they took us, though, too, right, for long term, because, I had the responsibility of elderly people to, in terms of looking after them, and they knew that they had someone looking after them. It wasn't like 2 old people or elderly people were coming in and renting the place on their own. They had me, right? And then they had the kids too, right? So they weren't completely alone where they had to deal with the house as you would normally, as in my situation, doing everything from A to Z, right? And then because I had my kids and we had already been displaced, from losing Wally's house, the commitment was there to build a house. So when you go into my videos and you look from 2011 on, you'll see me a lot in the yard building a house, people. Building, hopefully by the end of this summer, end of fall. It might even take me right up until December because I've been out in the yard in the month of December with videos doing stuff in the yard. So, don't be surprised if I'm not out in there December just finishing things up, permitting that the weather allows it to happen, right? For the long term, right? So when you move into a house, you have to buy tools, and if you buy tools, you have to buy materials, whether it's wood, cement, nails, right? Whatever it is, paint, there's lots of things, putties and just lots of things that you have to buy for, little things around the house if you're going to do anything in the yard and try and build sheds and that kind of stuff, proceed to build a greenhouse. And yes, I got a lot of that stuff from Home Depot, people. Got all the pallets. I got a lot of miscellaneous pieces of wood. There's lots of things that I've got around the neighborhood in terms of bricks and rocks and dirt and mulch and I'm pretty thrifty at, keeping everything on the down low when it comes to the cost of managing the house in terms of you got to have certain tools to fix things or do minor repairs, right? I had to build compost boxes and I had to work with woods. I had to get a skill saw and, just the list kind of starts to pile on because we're in for the long haul, right? So I invested money, right? Even this last month I spent $400 and some odd at Home Depot, and I have to go back and spend more at Home Depot just to finish up with the projects in the yard and maybe fix this leaky roof before it starts to rain again as best as we can and do something with that gutter over there. I might have to buy some glue or something. So I went into debt because I was already in debt. So in other words, I stayed in debt. And not only did I stay in debt, I went back up in debt. Because prior to moving into this place, I was starting to work on paying off my debt. And if you look at my credit history, you can see, right? And we got it down to the last couple of small little bills. And then we had the 3 major ones between Commerce and Royal. And then we were going to focus on paying them down. So into the 6th year, what happens? Just as I'm going to be now paying down the bigger bills after I had to stay in debt, go back up into debt, because before Joan moved in, my debt was starting to go down. And then when Joan moved in, and I had to move into a bigger house to accommodate her needs, right? And because I was in for the long haul, Joan didn't go off and buy no hammers. She didn't buy no nails. She didn't buy no wood. She didn't buy pots and pans. She didn't buy extra furniture or whatever, or scrounge it around or whatever. She didn't buy towels. She didn't buy tea towels for 2 kitchens and all this other shit, right? Never mind having to go out in the yard and deal with a mud pit, sand pit, and a freaking weedy forest. Could you imagine if I lived in this house for all these years and never once did anything in this yard, considering how it was when I first moved in? So here's the dilemma. Now that it's been a sink or swim situation for the last 2 years and a bit, because of the negligence of Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce that want to sit up there and call this situation frivolous, because I don't know how to write the court language, which is just an excuse to bypass being responsible for the hand that they played in the demise of my household in terms of, this is the point of this video, okay, I get my little welfare check today for $677. And then around the 11th or 12th, I get the $800 for Andre to look after him, which right off the top, $650 at least comes off, and I give that to my landlady to top off the rent, which is the total of $1,700 for up and down for the whole house. And in comparison, today's rental market, that's a good price, people, because the minute I move out from this house, and I've got videos already discussing this house will go up to anywhere from $2,000 to $2,400 a month just in rent alone. And the higher you go up, it's only because of what I've done in the yard, not because of the house. People will pay extra for a greenhouse. People will pay extra for sheds. I don't know if they want a pond in the front, but at least they don't get a fucking sand pit, okay? That's the reality of it. I calculated in, I'm trying to explain this to my kids. Hydro, at a bare minimum, is $200 a month, but in the winter it jumps up to $250, if not more, because, you use more hydro in the wintertime. Gas, at this point, coming into summer, is anywhere between $100 and $80, so I've just rounded off at $100, but coming in winters, you're looking at $300, $400 gas bills every month. But for now, I just put it down on a low ball, $100 a month. Cable is $120, and that's for internet and telephone. That's just the type of internet that we have, because we have cable lines from on the old grandfather program, because I don't necessarily like Wi-Fi. I would prefer to have cable lines, so we go on a lower bandwidth, and there's 3 different separate cable lines with one signal, with one router hooked up to one box. So you tend to pay a little more, not much more, maybe $30 a month more. But other than that, it's just for my basic telephone line, which I don't have a cell phone, and internet services, not cable TV, but internet service and what do you call it? Telephone line. That works out to about $119 a month or $126 a month or something. So basically, on a low ball, on a monthly basis, just for those 4 things, I'm looking at $2,120 a month. Right? And then I've got a royal payment I have to make. You can do the math. $60. I have masters I have to do at $100. Commerce comes in anywhere between $300 and $356 or something, depending on if they're charging me extra fees or whatever. But it's $300. I got it down at $350 here, on average, per month. Per month, people. And that's just interest charges. That's all it is. And then I got another little credit card that I have to meet at least $20 a month. And then I got my life insurance so that when I die, at least the kids will be able to pay off Commerce. They can get their 19 grand in one slap, because I'm only worth about $38,000. And then they can pay off the Royal, which Uncle John should be helping me with. But besides that point. So, anyway, that works out to about $1,110 that I'm just for basic bills. Okay? Don't forget, my welfare check is $677. So $350 of that, anywhere between $300 to $350, goes to Commerce right off the top. So if we subtract off $350, right now I owe them, I guess this month they're charging me $319 for their interest, and I still owe them $80. So that's $396 that I owe them. So technically I should just take that $398 from my $677 and pay them in full, because here's the dilemma. If I don't, right now they've been kind of good, right? And you know, here's the really sad part. I used to like this bank. Like, serious, like they got me through with my family, and now they're destroying my family. So because they can't follow through on their contracts, right? And they don't want to take responsibility for the damage that they've caused this family, and including as to the damage of what they've done to Uncle John, right? But that's besides the point, because that's for court, right? If I don't pay this $350 at least, and still be $80 in arrears for the following month, they will simply just go in there and take over my account. And they will take their money, what's in the account, they will apply it to the $19,000 that I owe, and they will prevent me from doing anything until I go in and I sit down with one of their managers and I discuss a plan and how I'm going to pay it, before they will release my account and let me to continue on with my banking activities. Okay? So, they'll take my $677, bill me $19,000, hold me out of my account, and if I don't get there and pay at least the minimal and what's due, then they'll just won't give me back my account. Right? And they'll go, and then they'll take out Andre's account. And then eventually, I won't be able to pay anything within the first month of them doing that. So I'm held hostage to this $350. I have to pay it, because if I don't pay it, they will lock me out of my account. And whatever agreement that I make with them, I can't honestly 100% say I can follow through on it any more than what I'm already doing. Because I'm doing the best that I can, people. I juggle these bills, right? That's what happens. And then because not everything gets paid, I'm looking at double payments later on. So I'm on this really vicious cycle. But I just wanted to point out that from $677, right? If I don't pay Commerce at least $350 today out of that money, okay? Technically, I should be giving them $396, right? So if I don't pay them at least $350, they're going to hijack my account, and I am going to be left penniless under terms that are unpredictable no matter how you look at it. In terms of, I go to the bank, okay, take what's owed, give me back my account, but don't expect me to be able to meet that $319 payment next month, because this month I'm getting a disconnection notice for my hydro, as the hydro rates are going up again. I think 3 or 7% in April, and we're now going into June. So the hydro rates are going up, so my hydro bill is going to go up another $20 a month. Either or, whether it's $400 every 2 months or $525 every 2 months in the winter. The point is it's going up every $20 every month. So, you know, I don't know, people. If Uncle John would have been home for the last 2 years and a bit, Commerce would have been almost paid off by now. It would have been probably down to $5,000. Uncle John's would have been either paid off by now or down to about $4,000 or $3,000. Royal would have been gone by June. They took him in February. Royal would have been gone by May or June, because we were on a budget. We were on a plan. I got us down to 3 major bills, with 2 little ones that were going to get paid off with my income tax when I filed my income tax, which I did do. But Royal never got addressed. Commerce never got addressed. And Uncle John's got wiped out. All of a sudden, there was nothing owed. It just completely blinked out of the paperwork. The numbers disappeared. I wrote it down in my notice of claim. But I guess the bank sees it as evidence, because if they follow up on their fucking files, they will see what happened. Right? So now I'm sitting here holding the bag, as they're making dividends on the money that they're banking off of Uncle John after they destroyed his family. And they destroyed him. So I guess these videos aren't going to stop. They're not going to stop until something fucking gets done with this shit. They can take me to court for fucking slander. How about that? Instead of them slandering me and my nonprofit and my family, why don't they take me to court for slander? Then at least I get to go in front of a judge and say, Your Honor, here is the material facts. Now will you please look at the evidence? Because the reality is they can lock me out of my account just like they locked me out of Uncle John's account. Not follow the fucking rules. Because it's not even my account. It belongs to the bank. That's the moral of this story. Don't fool yourself, people. You go to the fucking bank thinking it's your bank account. It's a bunch of bullshit. Because when they want to do what they want to do, they're going to do it anyway. And they're not going to be held accountable. Because they know that they got the fucking justice system in their back pocket. I'm going to just upload this as is.